On this week's program, we're talking why so many pop culture trailers came out this week and which ones we liked and didn't like. Star Wars goes Game of Thrones, what we think of Solo, and is Call of Duty going Black Ops once too often? All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly thank you for being part of the program here today. And it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my main man. He's the man, the myth, the legend, among all legends at Humanica Media. You got to check out all their great stuff today on YouTube, Podbean, and also as well Apple Podcasts. It's Josh Peterson. What's going on, my friend?
What up, man? Hey, I just downloaded some Final Fantasy Pocket Edition on my phone. Just posted an interview with the guy from Warhorse Studios about Kingdom Come Deliverance. So, been productive nights.
Indeed, I know you were really excited about trying to get an interview for that as well. So I'm glad it went extremely well. And I may be going ahead and playing it as bonus footage coming up this next week after it airs on all your traditional Humanica Media outlets. So so stay tuned for that. But I know you've also been playing a great downloadable game as well. A great indie game as well, correct?
Right. The game is called Celeste, and it's a platformer, kind of reminiscent of the games of yesteryear, which are starting to make a comeback, as we all know. But the game is beautiful. It's super frustrating, but you eventually, it's one of those ones where you kind of got to jump the walls and figure out how to do these jumps to get to the next place. It's very well done, very good soundtrack, super frustrating, but once you get past those, it is the most satisfying game in the world, and I highly recommend it to anybody looking for something you can play through in a few hours. Definitely give it a try because it's a very beautiful game.
And that seems to be the way the industry is trending towards, with Cuphead being a major release late last year that also has those same type of tendencies as far as being very frustrating, but also being very rewarding once it's said and done, but being also a very beautiful game as well. So it definitely looks like those type of platformers are definitely coming back strong. And that challenge is the name of the game to try enhance that lengthy game time. It may be something from maybe, like you said, about 2 to 4 hours into something that might be a 6 to 8 hour to even a 10 to 12 hour type format. So definitely something to look forward to. It is Celeste. It is out everywhere. So for all the major systems, correct, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely take a look at that as well if you get a chance. But for us here, it's going to be a great show indeed. We've got, well, what do you know? Rob McCallum is going to be standing by in the Cosmic Crossfire, and it's not something I taped with him beforehand as far as a couple weeks back, a week back, or not even, that much, not even that long ago. This is something I taped after the birth of his child. He really wanted to come back on the air to talk about Solo, so definitely glad to have him as part of the program, fresh and off of the birth of his baby girl. So we truly welcome him back to the program. He's going to be coming up here in a bit. Also as well, from the voice from the underground, it is Tremaine Johnson. He's also going to be talking to us. He's going to be sharing his thoughts on a reported new Call of Duty for this year, and that is probably going to be, from what all reports are saying, a new Black Ops, which would be Black Ops 4. Is it too much Black Ops? We're going to talk about that when he comes on a little bit later in the program as well. Plus, Josh and I are going to be breaking down the latest movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe breakdown for us, and that is going to be Captain America, the Winter Soldier. And we're going to be talking about that later on, plus a whole lot more, including Star Wars, Game of Thrones deal, and all that. But Josh, a lot of trailers came out this week. I know Rob and I are going to talk about Solo, but I also want to hear your thoughts on that as well. But also as well, Deadpool 2 came out this week, and also Thursday, Venom with Tom Hardy, that also came out. on top of all the Super Bowl trailers for Cloverfield, Jurassic Park, Infinity War, and so many others, what really stood out to you as far as the trailers, and why are so many coming out all at the same time?
Wait, trailers came out this week? What?
yeah, they kind of did.
It's just the time, man. It's like we're getting into the holidays are over, so the next movie season is going to be the summer. The summer season that starts in May, and that's less than a little over 2 months away. Less than 2 months.
Well, a little over 2 months, but the actual, like you said, I think you touched upon it. The movie season really starts coming up very shortly with obviously 50 Shades of Freed. Well, for some people, that the way they're reviewing it,
it's one of those movies, man. It's got our hands tied.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But yeah, that's coming out, and then also as well, you've got next week with Black Panther, which we're going to go into detail on next week. We're going to go really, really heavily into that. And then also so many other movies are going to be starting to come out one after another, after another, after another. So I guess that's probably the reason why a lot of the trailers are being showed now, because this is the last week. Think of it like the calm before the storm. Would that be a way you would phrase it?
Yeah, I would say so. It's the right time to put something out, because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't even know was coming out this summer. But no, it's necessary. It's a good marketing strategy, and like all this, everyone, with Solo, everyone's like, I don't think Disney has much confidence in it, but I think they're just waiting for the right time, because this seems to be the time when everybody drops their trailer. So I think there is a strategy there. But you had talked to Rob about it, but the movie does look good. I just want to put in my 2 cents here. I like the return to the streets of the Empire days.
Oh, for Solo?
For Solo, definitely. Yeah.
I really liked it. I was kind of iffy on it at first, but I watched it again. I really paid attention to it, and I really like the way that it's being portrayed as far as very gritty. And I really like the fact that, it's like this ragtag, a group of con artists seem to be like pulling in their next scam, a major scam as far as it's concerned within the Star Wars universe. And I really like that aspect of it, as opposed to what we're used to seeing with as far as the Jedi versus the Empire or whatnot. This is kind of a little bit different beat, don't you think?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I like how they did it in Rogue One. They showed the darker side of the Empire days, like what's going on in the streets and what's going on with like the people who actually have to endure this this totalitarianism that is going on right now, the dictatorship. It's cool to see just the little like sparks of people being like, I'm tired of this. And Han Solo, I don't know, they didn't really show much with Emilia Clarke and what her part is, but as far as like seeing Han Solo, like how he becomes the lovable scoundrel that we all have grown up with, is it's an interesting aspect for the character. I wasn't excited about it at first, but I am pretty excited, and I think the music in the trailer was really good, and the cinematography looks really good. I like the dark look, and then seeing Danny Glover,
Donald Glover.
I always get them confused. Playing Lando Calrissian was definitely something special. So the funny thing is, like, this movie is either going to wash the bad taste of The Last Jedi out of our mouths, or it's going to make it worse.
Well, that's true, but I actually really have high hopes for the film. I know, as I was telling Rob, that my daughter was saying that it really doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie, because she is so used to, I think, those bright, happy, sunshiny moment. Bright, happy, sunshiny moments that you have with a lot of the Star Wars movies that we've seen before. And like you said, this is a grittier look that we've really only seen in Rogue One, and I think this continues that format, and I kind of like it. So as we'll go about as far as the Star Wars universe, we'll talk a little bit more when we're dealing with the Star Wars Game of Thrones deal. But I want to talk to you now about what you saw in Deadpool 2. it was more of the same, but to me, it was really a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it as well. And it introduced us to Cable and exactly what he's all about as far as his anger issues and his anger issues towards Deadpool himself.
Yeah, no, that looks interesting. They didn't really. It was a trailer, but it wasn't a trailer. It's a typical Deadpool trailer, you know. And I love that they can never give enough away about the movie in those trailers, because you get some of Deadpool talking, and then you get footage from the actual movie spliced in, so you don't know what's from the movie and what's just a marketing ploy, because they did that a lot in the movie too, where they would cut to just him talking, sitting on a bridge, doing stuff. And that's why I love it, because I know that I can go in and always see something in that, like in Deadpool, that I didn't see in the trailers, and that's a whole lot of fun to me. And as for like the relationship with Cable, it looks like now that they got the whole, you know, I'm the merc with a mouth type setup out of the way, we still get to have that type of Deadpool you know, attitude, but we're also getting a somewhat serious, getting it mixed into a somewhat serious story. And that's where like the true art of storytelling for the writer of this movie is going to come in. And I'm really excited to see how it plays out.
Well, I'm also very, apprehensive in a way, because remember, the original director is no longer attached to this film, and when it was all expected after Deadpool did so well, as far as from both a critical and monetary standpoint, that he would obviously direct the next one. No, unfortunately, there was some creative differences. He was booted out of the way, a new director's in place. So when you're getting a fresh look at it, sometimes it works out for the best, but sometimes it also backfires. And when you have something that's a really hot property right now, like Deadpool, that may have been something that was not in their best interest, but we'll have to wait and see. But for at least for right now, Ryan Reynolds doing more Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool is still a lot of fun. It's still very entertaining, and even if it, like you said, showed a limited amount of actual footage compared to what a normal trailer would, still it just makes for an entertaining time when he's doing his shtick. So, and then there was the Venom trailer, which dropped on Thursday, and it was Tom Hardy, and it was still Tom Hardy. And it was even more Tom Hardy, but there was extremely little Venom to be found. So I want to hear your thoughts. Did you like this Tom Hardy trailer that accidentally had a little frame, a couple of frames of Venom in it?
It didn't really have any frames of Venom. It had like the symbiote that would eventually become Venom.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I was expecting a lot more, because Sony has hyped this up quite a bit, and from what I understand, it's going to be loosely tied to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But yeah, no, I was expecting a lot more from it. I wanted to see the suit. I wanted to see more of the story. What we got instead was a lot of flashes of Tom Hardy. We got him screaming. We got him walking. We got him running. We got some desk exploding, and we got a brief look at the symbiote and a crashed spaceship. It was a very, I've never seen a trailer that failed so bad to be a trailer. I
couldn't agree with you more on that. It was really disappointing, and I don't know how they're expecting to get fans in there unless they produce another trailer that's going to like bounce back. And we've seen films before in their setup when they're shown months in advance that they have a bad original trailer, but a better trailer on the next time around that's, regains that public interest in the film.
Well, from what I understand, they just wrapped filming like less than a month ago. So I'm imagining like the symbiote suits and stuff, they haven't quite finished rendering yet. And they focused really hard. They found like the smallest piece of like special effects that they could do to add into the trailer. They focused it on that little tube and the little black thing wiggling inside of it. And I'm imagining that they just haven't finished all that, and they're really in a rush to get something out because this is the season to do it, and the movie's coming out in October. Yeah, I think it was rushed, and I don't think they were ready. If they would have waited, the trailer could have been a lot cooler. But they're calling this a teaser. It really even failed to be a teaser. They could have just put out some pictures, and I think people would have been just as okay with it.
Or to something even abstract that isn't even relating to the movie, that it's not even actual movie footage itself. That could be something just like him in the costume or bubbling up, or him becoming Venom in a totally different shot specifically for a teaser type trailer type deal. You know what I'm talking about? Like they shot footage for the Deadpool 2 trailer specifically for the Deadpool 2 trailer, as opposed to the entirety of it being all movie footage. They could have done the same thing for this, and probably would have been much better suited than watching, like you said, 2 minutes of Tom Hardy, which was kind of disappointing. So, like I said, I have no interest or buzz right now in Venom because I haven't seen anything to gain my interest. If I wanted to see a Tom Hardy flick, I would have just, gone back and watched one of the many Tom Hardy movies that are out there. But I don't know. Right now, it just doesn't seem very enthralling at this point in time. But Sony, you still got some time to turn me and a lot of other people around, because my reaction is the same as a lot of others out there. What are your thoughts on the trailers that came out this week? Include the Jurassic Park, the Infinity War, also the Cloverfield. Hey, Cloverfield, that came out on Netflix, and that has done gangbusters. Despite the negative reviews, that looks like it was a home run decision to put it onto the streaming service. And all the other trailers that came out this week, which do you think are really the ones that stood out to you as far as being really good, and the ones that really didn't cut up to the mustard?
Hey, real quick, I've been wanting to talk to somebody about this. Did you notice in the Infinity War trailer, Iron Man has a robot hand?
Yes, I noticed that. It's been talked about a lot here this past week. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
I think either something happened to him, or this is one of his one of the synthetics that he makes in the comic books. I'm leaning more towards the old probably lost his hand doing something, but we'll see, man.
We'll see indeed. Definitely very interesting. It was only up there for a brief second or two, but definitely a lot of people caught it, and a lot of people have been speculating on it. So the intrigue continues as far as Infinity War is concerned. But please share us your thoughts on the trailers this week. Which one you like best? Which ones you didn't? Share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. It's going to be a great show we have for you today. We've got Rob McCallum standing by in the Cosmic Crossfire, and later on we've got Tremaine Johnson from the Voice from the Underground. He's coming up later in the broadcast as well. But first, we've got Elijah Harrison. We know him as Plasma Z, and this is Mango, and this is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. We truly appreciate you hanging around with us and sticking around for some more great pop culture talk. Just want to let you know, we are on live streaming 7 days a week with all the great radio stations that we're on the internet. That includes Good Talk Radio, which we're on Sunday nights. You want to check out that on Live 365. Also, as well, on Mondays, we've got Croc Radio and the Podcast Radio Network, where we are the #1 show on the network there. Check it out, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific there. For Croc Radio, it's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Good Talk Radio, it's 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific for on Sundays. I want to check out Monday, like I said, on TuneIn. Tuesday, you want to go Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting. You know what? Let me try that again. So check out our schedule on these great radio stations. On Sunday, it's Good Talk Radio starting at 10 p.m. Eastern. On Monday, it's Croc Radio at 8 p.m. Eastern. And the Podcast Radio Network, where we're #1 on that network at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Both of those we're on both of those on Monday night. Tuesday night, it's Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, 8 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, it is Gray Cloud Radio. I want to give a big welcome to Gray Cloud Radio. We're now a part of their schedule. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. Thursday, we're back on the Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting Network. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. Fridays, want to check us out on Croc Radio at 8 p.m. Eastern, Podcast Radio Network at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and then Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting again at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then on Saturdays, we top it all off with another showing, with another round on Gray Cloud Radio at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Josh, I know you got a great thing going on with Humanica Media, but for us as well, you can download our shows at Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Player.fm, Tangibound Network, ESO Network, Gonna Geek Network, and a whole bunch more. But Josh, I know you got a great thing going on with Humanica Media. So what is going on with your stop known as Humanica Media?
We have. We just actually put out that interview for Kingdom Come Deliverance. Definitely check that out. There's a new topic, Apocalypse, actually went up last night, and this one's talking about musicians versus streaming services. And it's actually, you know, you go into detail about like why musicians like Garth Brooks, Taylor Swift, Tool, Tom York, or Radiohead, why they go out of their way to avoid streaming services. And there's actually a lot of stuff I didn't even know, so that's cool. You know, we'll have a new Inside Sports up tomorrow and a new What About This on Monday. So there's a lot going on. And as always, you can catch the show on the Podcast Radio Network every Tuesday nights.
That's right, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network, where you can also catch on Mondays the Pop Culture Cosmos Show, and on Fridays the PCC Multiverse. For all of our great show times, if you ever need to know where you can download our show, where you can live stream our show, just check it out on Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook or Twitter, and we'll definitely, it has that information right there for you on all the great stops for us at Pop Culture Cosmos, at Pop Culture Cosmos and Humanica Media. So Josh, Star Wars, it's going a big Game of Thrones on you. I know that's great news for you when you heard that the showrunners for the Game of Thrones, that's David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, they were actually given by Lucasfilm the authority to go ahead and start working on their own trilogy outside of Rian Johnson's trilogy in the Star Wars universe. So I ask you, Josh, what does this big news by Disney, Lucasfilm, and the whole nine yards mean for the Star Wars universe?
I'm actually really excited about this for, you know, one reason not related to Star Wars, that reason being that I'm glad that they're not going to be moving forward with that Civil War show on HBO they're going to do, because I think that their talents are wasted in, you know, in that arena. They're good at crafting stories that have, you know, relationships with people, and I think Star Wars is the perfect arena for them. And, you know, the cool thing about this is I think we're going to get a really gritty Star Wars. We're going to get something that has a lot of dynamics between characters, but we're going to have the typical backstabbing storylines of Game of Thrones mixed in with the, you know, these big epic action scenes. And I honestly, like, it could be what the Star Wars universe needs to stay alive. If they're working on a trilogy and Rian Johnson's doing his trilogy, I think we're going to see a really like drastic shift in tones between the two. But my question is, like, you know, much like Rian Johnson's trilogy, where is this going to fit in the overall narrative? And, you know, what's it going to be about? Like, I can see them taking on a property like the Knights of the Old Republic, or the Jedi Order before the lightsabers were invented, because those were more closer to Game of Thrones, so they were using actual swords and, you know, going to war with each other. So that could be something interesting. But I don't know, where do you think in the timeline their movies are going to go? Do you think we're going to stop getting like the side stories and they're going to instead be alternating trilogies?
You know, at this point, I think they're going to be doing all three. I think their goal is to I think their goal is to provide a Star Wars movie every year. And in order to do that efficiently, and I think they're going to go the Call of Duty route. And I know Tremaine Johnson and I are going to be talking about that here in a sec. But when you do Call of Duty, as far as it's concerned, you got to remember when you have Call of Duty, you have 3 different studios bringing out theirs in successive years. So you got one studio working one year, one studio working the next, one studio working the next after that. I think in this case, that's what they want. They want Ryan Johnson's trilogy working one time. Then you have their trilogy working another time. And then on top of that, you could still have time for some great side stories like Obi-Wan and the others that have been rumored out there. So I think it is a good decision as opposed to just make it, you know, the just two, just balancing off each other. If they keep it at 3, I think that's, for Star Wars fans, that's a bonus, because you're going to see 3 different visions, and you're not going to see the same vision just like every other year. It's going to be like a different vision every year, and it's going to seem fresh every time it comes around.
Yeah, but my question would be, that's cool. Do you think that the excitement for one trilogy is going to overshadow the excitement for the other, though?
I think that will happen. I don't think it will be necessarily on the side stories. I think the side stories will always be thought of as the little cousin of this whole entire thing. If it's not a direct lineage Star Wars movie, a direct canon Star Wars movie per se. But when you're talking about the 2 trilogies that we're now talking about that are in development, you got to remember Ryan Johnson may have the jump already, so his will most likely come out first. The Game of Thrones guys may come out a year later after that. So we're still talking about 2021, maybe at the earliest, when all this gets really started. But I will say this, yeah, it depends on the quality of the films. If people have a tendency to like the Game of Thrones ones better than Ryan Johnson's, or vice versa, they're going to probably gravitate more to those, unless they can figure out a way to balance each other out in some form or fashion.
Right. So, at this point, I'm much more excited about the Game of Thrones writers taking on a Star Wars trilogy than I am Rian Johnson. Maybe, I don't know, man. I still have a bad taste in my mouth from Last Jedi. Maybe I do need to watch it again, but I'm more looking for something new to reinvigorate my interest in Star Wars, because I'm starting to feel the burnout right now.
And that's a shame, because Solo's coming around, and I still have high hopes for that. I think that will feel a lot of the Star Wars The Last Jedi backlash. Even if it is a good movie, I still think it will be hurt at the box office because of it. Now, mind you, it won't be the first Star Wars film to actually earn under $1 billion. I'd say Solo probably won't. But, I hope it does surprise me, and I hope it does surprise everyone by being a good film, especially after all the problems that it has. But getting back to what you're talking about, I know a lot of other people are excited as well with the Game of Thrones showrunners actually creating their own Star Wars part of the Star Wars universe, because I definitely think that's going to be a great sign. I think they really know how to craft and tell stories. Obviously, they did when HBO gave them a chance for several seasons now with the Game of Thrones, and I know a lot of people are upset that they're going to be going away come, April 2019, and when the final season starts. So I believe that I agree with you. I believe that the showrunners for the Game of Thrones, they've got the leg up on Ryan Johnson at this point in time, especially after Last Jedi Backlash. But it all depends on what we see on screen. But I'm still jazzed for a future that includes all 3, which includes all 3 stories, whether it be Ryan Johnson's, the Game of Thrones showrunners, and the offshoot stories like Obi-Wan and whatnot that you're still willing to tell in the Star Wars universe. Because for me, the Star Wars films, bad or good, still are an escape for me and still take me to a place in the galaxy far, far away. What are your thoughts on the Game of Thrones showrunners joining up joining forces with Lucasfilm to create a new Star Wars trilogy. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Humanica Media, Game Source, and Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook and Twitter as well. Coming up next, we've got Tremaine Johnson from Voice from the Underground. He's coming up right after the break to talk Call of Duty Black Ops 4, plus a whole lot more on his upcoming new podcast himself. Looking forward to talking to him about that. And then when we come back after that, Josh and I are going to be talking Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and whether or not we think it's the best movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back to close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. We truly thank you for sticking around and hanging with us right here on the show. Remember, if you have any questions for us or topics you'd like us to talk about, please share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. And remember, if you'd like to download our show on Apple Podcasts, Tangible Network, ESO Network, or any of our other over 15 different downloadable options as far as audio outlets are concerned. I think there's actually more than that. I think there's actually over 20 or whatnot, because if you've got iTunes catchers out there galore on your mobile phone, tablet, what have you, you can get into that, you can get off of the Google Play Store or iTunes Store, what have you, then the Pop Culture Cosmos and the PCC Multiverse are there. Just type in Pop Culture Cosmos, subscribe, and there you go. It comes right up for you. Josh, in our continuing series on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we're up to Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I've got an article that I wrote, like I've said before, on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com with my list of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and where I think each one stands as far as rating it from high to low and whatnot. I will say this, I'll put in some spoilers. I put the Winter Soldier at the top of my list. I believe it is the best of the Marvel Cinematic Universe has had to offer. I haven't seen Black Panther as of yet, but as of this recording, I believe it is the best of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Your thoughts on what you think about the movie and why you think it's either good or bad, and I'll share my thoughts on the movie as well after you're done.
Oh, man, we're actually going to be agreeing on something for once.
Well, what do you know about that?
Jeez, yeah. No, I love the movie. It's a completely different, spin, I guess, which is weird because the Russo brothers, now they're tackling Infinity War. So I want to see like how, well, they did Civil War also, if I'm not mistaken, but
Yes,
they did a good job of creating a really grounded, like, spy thriller almost. It didn't really feel as much like a superhero movie as it was a.
Can you say that sentence again? You cut out twice. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. It didn't feel as much like a superhero movie as it did like a Hunt for Red October or one of those old the spy movies from the 90s. It was cool. That's all I can think to describe it. Is really cool, which is, and I hope that they bring, and Civil War was, it was okay. Not my favorite Marvel movie, but I'm hoping that with all like the fantastic universe shaping madness of Infinity War, that they're going to be able to bring that sort of like dark, gritty tone whatever to the Avengers, and still be able to tackle all the storylines going on, but make it feel more grounded, like the Winter Soldier did. And also, big thing with Winter Soldier, love Sebastian Stan. I think that he absolutely owns that part.
I believe so as well. I think he's done a very, very solid job trying to deal with the anguish of being that individual who was forced into becoming the Winter Soldier. I just think, like you said, it is a great mix of superhero and spy thriller action movies, and a I definitely thought it really clicked on all cylinders. I really think that it did an outstanding job of fleshing out not only Captain America's, not only the feelings and thoughts of Steve Rogers, but also as well it fleshed out a lot of Black Widow's backstory, a lot of her as well, her her feelings and where she stands, and also the backdrop of the battle between Hydra and also as well Shield, and how Hydra had infiltrated Shield. I think that really just put the the cap on it. And the fact is, I still think until I see Michael B. Jordan's performance, which is now being rated as the best in the MCU, I still think as of yet, as of this recording, that Robert Redford's performance as the head of Shield is the best bad guy performance in the entire MCU. And I think that's really really a capper to this great film. And it shows to me why Robert Redford is truly a great actor, and just, almost was forgotten about as a legend in this industry. And then he does something like that and comes out of left field and pulls something like that off and does an incredible, absolutely incredible job of really becoming that bad guy out of a good guy realm, as far as Shield, as far as being a Hydra agent in the realm of Shield is concerned. So definitely on all cylinders, this movie hit. So like you said, Sebastian Stan, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, just Robert Redford and Frank Grillo, they all hit, Anthony Mackie even, on all cylinders. They just did an outstanding job of fleshing out all those characters, fleshing out a nice backstory, and putting in a twist that really kept you interested and intrigued throughout the entire film.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's, they did a good job of, taking the fantastic aspects of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and making it feel real. And that's something that you don't see with, for me, it was the opposite of what DC did with their universe. I thought that Man of Steel, despite the Man of Steel being the Man of Steel, I thought that they did a good job with that, of kind of grounding the DC universe and making it feel like that movie could exist in Chris Nolan's Batman universe. And then Justice League came out, and it felt so gimmicky and comic-y. So they did, whereas in The Winter Soldier, they did a good job of taking all the stuff that kind of got that got toned up from, Avengers and Thor and stuff. And then they did a good job bringing it back down to where the casual moviegoer who's not into that kind of thing could sit there and be like, okay, I can get into this.
Yes, indeed, you're right. Absolutely, 100%. They just did an outstanding job, and I'm intrigued to see very much Black Panther, because I've seen all the great reviews so far, and a lot of people have great hopes for it. But from both you and I right now, it's going to take a lot for it to beat Captain America: The Winter Soldier, because for us, that movie hit on every single note. It did what it needed to do. It brought everything forward from what was going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and made it 10 times better. And I actually think it is one of the pillars of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that really is one of the cornerstones for the entire future that it set for the next few years after it came out. So definitely was very, very appreciative, and I cannot say enough good things about Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And before you catch Infinity War coming up later this year in May, you have to, if you've not seen it already or see it again, you got to take a look at Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So what are your thoughts on Captain America: The Winter Soldier? Do you feel like we are, that it's the best in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Or do you think it doesn't stand up quite to the test of some of the other movies in that same realm? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Humanica Media, Game Source, and Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook and Twitter as well. Well, we just want to thank Tremaine Johnson from the Voice from the Underground for being on today's show. Also as well, my good friend Rob McCallum for also being a part of today's broadcast. I did not expect until he sent me a note right before we went on the air that he was actually going to be doing the show with us, but we're truly glad for him to be taking a fresh look at Solo, and definitely want to congratulate him again on his baby girl, and I'm glad the family's all back at home, and everything's good. Everything's going good so far. So good. So happy for him. So thankful for him to be a part of the show. And I'll tell you what, it's just been a great show indeed. But Josh, do you have any last thoughts on the way out?
No. I was trying to think of maybe I had something to say, but I don't.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
We've got a lot still to talk about next week because Black Panther comes out, my friend, and I know we're both excited for that.
Yeah, actually, let me ask you this. I keep thinking about this, and I'm having this huge fear that if I don't like Black Panther, it's going to be Wonder Woman for me all over again. People are going to accuse me of being they're going to accuse me of being racist or sexist or ignorant or something like that. And that's my huge fear. I hope that the movie's as awesome as the trailer. And if I like the movie, it's going to have nothing to do with race or any of that stuff. It's going to be because it's a good movie and it told a good story. So I just have a fear of that because I got thrown under the bus after I said I didn't like Wonder Woman for reasons that had nothing to do with social things.
Well, I will say this. It recently lost its 100% Rotten Tomatoes rating because of one individual reviewer from, I guess, an Irish publication or whatnot. And really, he got slammed for all those various reasons, whether right or wrong, whether it was intentional or unintentional. But I will say this, you're entitled to your opinion, and whether or not it's out there or whatnot. And but I think right now that it's a safe bet that you and I will probably enjoy the movie because so many other individuals like it that have seen it and have reviewed it. And I'm just excited that this is going to be a great benchmark for the Marvel Cinematic Universe and for superhero movies in general, that so many different African-American, Black, so many different individuals is going to be showing so much diversity on screen and just really just strengthen the Marvel Cinematic Universe even more. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just so happy that it's coming to fruition, and it couldn't have been a better time because it tells a great story right before we even get to the climactic part 1 of Infinity War coming in May. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening, and here's hoping you have yourself a great